If you're a woman in your 30s, 40s, 50s, you're trying to lose weight, chances are you've tried skipping breakfast, doing your workouts fasted, or eating within a specific time window. Intermittent fasting. I know this because every single week my DMs are flooded with women telling me they've tried it, and they usually fall into one of two camps. Either they've tried it, got no results, and been left wondering, why does it not work for me when it seems to work for everyone else online? Or they try it, they do get some great results initially, they lose loads of weight, but sooner or later they plateau. They struggle to stick with it, give up, put all the weight back on, and then try again next January. So in today's video, I want to go over exactly what is happening when it comes to intermittent fasting for women over 30 and some of the biggest misconceptions I hear every week. I want to give you enough information so you can make a decision, is this the best method for you? Most of what you've been told about intermittent fasting has come from studies either in men or in clinical data. So obese or sedentary patients who need to lose the weight for medical reasons. That research was not designed for busy, high-performing women like you. And by the way, this isn't an anti-fasting video. If it's worked for you long term and you're exactly where you want to be, awesome. This is for the women I speak to every single week who aren't lazy. They just want to lose weight and don't understand why fasting isn't working for them. So let's dive in. Misconception 1. Fasting works the same for women as it does for men. One of the biggest myths in fitness is that women are just small men. You are not. You respond very differently to stress than a man, and fasting is a stressor. It's also been shown that women naturally wake up with higher cortisol spikes in the morning than men as well. And this cortisol response gets even stronger as you go into your 30s and 40s. Now, if cortisol rises first thing in the morning and no food comes in, your body will treat that as a threat. And add in the other stresses like dealing with the kids in the morning or getting ready for another day of back-to-back meetings. It's not the best state you want your body to be in for fat loss. That's why so many of the women I speak to describe this feeling as tired, but also anxious and foggy at the same time. Your body is not designed the same as a man's. In fact, I want you to listen to this clip.
So when we're looking at the data of fasting, again, it's pulling from the men and generalizing to the women. But when we start really looking and narrowing it down and looking at female-specific data, the type of fasting that's out there in the health and fitness world is not appropriate for women. For men, we see more parasympathetic drive, so they get that more focused. They have better blood glucose control. They get an acceleration of body fat loss. They become more metabolically flexible, meaning their body's able to transfer between carbohydrate and fat utilization. For women, it doesn't happen that way. They end up with less blood sugar control. We have higher resting blood glucose. We have more fat storage. We have more sympathetic drive. So that means the body's under stress and you're not going to be able to sleep or recover well. And we see a downturn of the thyroid within 4 days of doing this.
Misconception 2. Fasted cardio is the key to fat loss. Before I go on with this one, I want to remind you of one thing. The only way to lose fat is to eat less calories than you consume, aka be in a calorie deficit. So with fasted cardio, the idea here is you'll burn more fat because if you haven't eaten, your body will be forced to burn fat, right? Which does make sense, but did you know this? Women naturally have more endurance style muscle fibers than men, which are better at using fat for fuel over long periods of time. Basically, women are naturally already good at using fat for fuel, so you don't need to be in a fasted state to burn fat. And to add to that, when women train fasted first thing in the morning, your workouts just aren't the same. It's gonna be harder to push yourself, especially if you're lifting weights, which if you're trying to lose fat, you should be. The best environment for fat loss is one where you're not stressed and your cortisol levels aren't through the roof. So yes, while fasted cardio might burn a slightly more amount of fat during that 30-minute workout, the net effect on fat loss for the rest of the day is likely gonna be worse off, especially with poor recovery, higher stress, and worse sleep. Misconception number 3, fasting is necessary for longevity and autophagy. Now, I'm definitely guilty of this one. I saw the cool Chris Hemsworth documentaries where they show you once you go over that 48.5 hours or whatever it was, how your body starts repairing itself. But since then, a lot of new science has come out which has shown it's not as revolutionary as it was made out to be. I'm not going to bore you with all the studies, but what I'll do is I'll play some clips of doctors who are a lot smarter than me confirming this.
The first is that there's no good human evidence that this is beneficial in the long term, or the extent that autophagy is being activated. Any potential benefit I was receiving from these prolonged fasts, they were vastly outweighed by the negative impact on my muscle stores. Because it's not that something magical is happening to the body during these skipped meals, or that we're activating autophagy. It's the calorie restriction that's doing the trick.
Markers of autophagy. No differences between the normal, boring, calorie-restricted group and the alternate day fasting group.
Also, if your main goal is to achieve that autophagy or cleaning up of the cells, resistance training and movement has been shown to be better than fasting at that autophagy. And if you're overweight and your stomach's hanging out more than it should be, your first priority should be to lose that excess body fat if your health is important to you, which if you're watching this video, assuming it is. Misconception number 4, fasting works, I'm just not disciplined enough. This one's obviously a bit more psychological, but I get it. You're seeing all these crazy transformations and hearing of all these podcasts where people use these fancy words to make you believe fasting is this magical thing. And you'll see in the comments hundreds of women saying how fasting changed their life. But I want to explain something to you which will hopefully help you stop comparing yourself to everyone else. What's that phrase? Comparison is the thief of joy. In anything in life, there's something called the survivorship bias. In World War II, planes would come back from battle with bullet holes in their wings. And the researchers were like, we should just add more armor to where those bullet holes are, right? But someone said, actually, no, we need to add armor to the places where there weren't bullet holes because those are the planes that didn't make it back. The illusion came from only looking at the planes that had come back, not the ones that didn't. For every single person you see who's lost weight, not just fasting, whether that's running a marathon every day, eating only meat or eating only fat like keto, whatever it is, there will always be people who do this and actually get great results. And you are only going to see those people pop up. Do you think all the other women who tried that and gave up after week 3 are going to be as vocal about it as the one person it worked for? But does it mean it's right for everyone? Kind of reminds me when I was 19 and I went to the casino for the first time. I won, I think it was £400 at the time, which back then was a lot of money. Next day, went to work, told everyone how I'd figured it out that if you just put some money on one number and if it doesn't come in, you just keep doubling and doubling it till it eventually comes in. Guess what happened the next 3 times I went? Lost a lot more than £400. I had that survivorship bias because it had worked for me one time. Hadn't taken into account all the other people who have been there and I've obviously lost. So next time you see Susan drop 30 pounds purely from fasting, think how many other women started at the exact same time she did and didn't make it? Because those are the stories you're not going to see. The planes that didn't make it back. Misconception number 5. Eating breakfast will slow fat loss. Now, I did make a whole video on why you shouldn't skip breakfast, but fat loss is not about one meal in the day. It's about being in a calorie deficit overall, which outside of what you eat is going to come down to a number of things: appetite, hormone balance, metabolism, and so on. So we need to look at the net effect breakfast is going to have on those as a whole. Will breakfast improve my appetite? Will it improve my circadian rhythm and help with my sleep? How will it affect my hormones like cortisol we spoke about earlier? Will I get better workouts in if I'm actually fueled? Thankfully, we don't have to guess. There have been plenty of studies and research that show people who have breakfast generally lose more weight than those who don't. But Javid, I'm not hungry in the morning. I get it, I'm the same, apart from the 2 times a year I'm hungover. I don't really want to eat anything first thing in the morning either. So don't think it has to be as soon as you wake up. I and a lot of my clients have our breakfast 10, 11 o'clock. That's completely fine. What I used to do when I used to work in office or work from home as a consultant is on my mid-morning coffee break, I'd go and quickly scramble up some eggs, have it with half an avocado, and that would take me 6 to 7 minutes. Usually when I was in the office, I'd done it quicker than it took most people to make a coffee. So it doesn't have to be anything huge or time consuming. I would just keep breakfast light, high fat, high protein. So if intermittent fasting hasn't worked for you long term, hopefully you can now see why this might not be the best option for you. Personally, it wouldn't be something I would ever recommend for a woman. I don't get any of my clients do intermittent fasting. Yes, we do use the clock to set cut-off times and eating windows to help, but anyone who's ever lost weight doing fasting has done so for one reason. Fasting helped them be in a calorie deficit. There was nothing magical about the fasting itself. Studies have shown that. Now, fasting is what I would put in the category of a quick fix. If you want more than a quick fix, if you want me to show you how to structure your diet, the right exercises, how to start, deal with life, how to actually keep the weight off once you get there, and everything else, give me 30 minutes. Not 5, not 10, 30 minutes. I know it's a lot of time, but if you want to see the exact full system I use to get results from my clients without quick fixes, 1, make sure you subscribe, and 2, make sure to watch this video next. All right, what time is it? Can I eat yet?